Welcome to our tech tip configuration of a new Modbus meter. In several steps, we will explain the entries necessary to set up a new Modbus TCP meter in the Data Manager M. For this, the Modbus profile of the device is defined with its parameters and stored in the EDMM. In addition to SMA Speedwire, Modbus devices can also be set up and configured via the Device Registration button in the configuration menu. To define a new Modbus device or to edit the parameters of an existing device, you start via the respective configuration button of the input dialog. For this, I click on Device Registration and then choose the configuration of Modbus devices. Each device registration consists of a unique device name, an associated IP address where the device can be reached in the network, a port, a serial number for a clear assignment to this plant, and a unit ID. The port 502 is reserved for Modbus TCP. The unit ID plays a role primarily in device addressing in a serial bus, for example RS485 or RTU, to identify a slave device behind a bridge or gateway in the subnetwork, or also for devices such as STP60 or SHP75 behind the inverter manager. ID range from 1 to 247. In a Modbus TCP network, the device is directly addressed via the IP address, and the unit ID can in this case be set to 1 by default. The first step now is to enter the basic data of the new profile. So profile name, device manufacturer, model designation that applies for this profile. In our example here, we're using the EMU power analyzer. The Modbus profile, which can be selected in the following drop-down menu, contains the parameter mapping for the relevant devices to the associated Modbus register addresses. The Data Manager M provides 5 predefined profiles as a default. For the extension of analog and digital interfaces, the profiles for the devices Vago 750, Moxa E1242 and E1241. Predefined profiles are also available for the Janitzer UMG 604 meters and the Elcor What's On Mark II, which is popular especially in the US. If it is necessary to register a new Modbus meter for which your profile does not exist yet, a new Modbus profile can be created via the Manage Own Modbus Profiles button in this device registration menu. Two standard channels are provided for the further configuration of the selected setup meter with the mapping template Active Power. First, power grid feed-in watt. Second, active energy meter reading feed-in meter in watt-hour. 4 Modbus parameters whose values are provided in the meter Modbus manual must be defined for each channel. The second step is to specify the device type. For this, you can choose from several types in the following drop-down menu. Select the meter type depending on the intended purpose and the measured data available from the device. Based on the selected type, one or several mapping templates with the respective standard channels will be available in the process of further configuration. So, for example, if a setup meter only for grid feed-in is selected as the device type here, Active Power is available as a mapping template. Now it must still be specified in which sequence the data bytes are transmitted. The higher quality byte is transmitted first, big endian, or the lower quality byte is transmitted first, little endian. This information can be found in the Modbus manual of the meter. So in our case, big endian. If additional measured values such as phase current, grid voltage, frequency, etc., which the meter can provide should be read in, additional measuring channels can be selected. A drop-down menu opens by the plus symbol from which the relevant parameter is selected. A total of 30 channels is still available. The 4-digit register address is the data access point where the Modbus device provides the values of the relevant parameters. Here in this example, the current active power in register 4528, as you can find in the manual. Register type specifies the data types and therefore the data length of the respective register and can also be found in the manual of the meter. So 4 times 8. Now to function code. Depending on which control commands are supported by the device for reading out the meter data, code 03 can be set for reading out the holding register or code 04 for reading out the input register. This information can also be found in the Modbus manual of the meter. Depending on the unit factor in which the meter provides the values, a scaling factor must be taken into account. The Data Manager M works with the basic units amps, volt, watt, watt-hour, VAR, etc. The parameter unit can be identified when moving the mouse over the respective channel designation. If additional measured values such as phase current, grid voltage, frequency, etc., which the meter can provide should be read in, additional measuring channels can be selected. A drop-down menu opens via the plus symbol from which the relevant parameters can be selected. For our example configuration of the EMU professional meter, we now select the bidirectional meter with a power channel as the device type, and from both of the offered mapping templates, the active power and voltage-dependent reactive power to record the grid voltage of the individual line conductors. As a result of this choice, a future Q versus U control with the measured values of the meter is possible, for example. The byte sequence for this meter is big endian according to the manual. With this mapping template, there are now 7 measured channels available by default that must be configured according to the device Modbus table. The required values for the individual channels can be found in the register matrix of the EMU Modbus manual. So for example, power 4528. The register type can be found in the byte and scaling factor from the units information of the table. The function code is a specification from the Modbus manual just as well. Since the grid voltage is measured in tenth of volts by the EMU meter, we have to adjust the scaling factor accordingly for the channel's grid voltage phase L1, L2, and L3. After filling in all that information, the profile for the EMU meter can now be saved and it is available for the further Modbus device registration. The last step is to register and save the new EMU professional meter with its IP address, the port, and the defined profile. To do this, open a new entry in the device registration via the plus symbol and enter the relevant data. A unit ID entry is not necessary since the device is addressed directly via the TCP address. Now, after clicking on Save, the new meter is available in the system. More information on this can be found on our homepage.